obviously, it provides at least 6 weeks for a person to be able to get an abortion.
And I'm sorry we have to break it down on, break down Biology 101 on national television, but in case no one has informed him before in his life, 6 weeks pregnant means 2 weeks late for your period. And 2 weeks late on your period for any person with a menstrual cycle can happen if you're stressed, if your diet changes, or for really no reason at all. So you don't have 6 weeks. So we know that none of this is about life. None of this is about supporting life. What this is about is controlling women's bodies and controlling people who are not cisgender men. This is about making sure that someone like me as a woman or any menstruating person in this country cannot make decisions over their own body. And people like Governor Abbott and Mitch McConnell want to have more control over a woman's body than that woman or that person has over themselves.
Let's make something very clear. Rape is a crime, and Texas will work tirelessly to make sure that we eliminate all rapists from the streets of Texas by aggressively going out and arresting them and prosecuting them and getting them off the streets. So goal number 1 in the state of Texas is to eliminate rape so that no woman, no person will be a victim of rape.
When he talks about going after rapists and this language of him that he uses about getting rapists off the streets, the majority of people who are raped and who are sexually assaulted are assaulted by someone that they know. And these aren't just predators that are walking around the streets at night. They are people's uncles, they are teachers, they are family friends. And when something like that happens, it takes a very long time, first of all, for any victim to come forward. And second of all, when a victim comes forward, they don't necessarily want to bring their case into the carceral system. They don't want to re-traumatize themselves by going to court. They don't necessarily all want to report a family friend to a police precinct, let alone in the immediate aftermath of the trauma of a sexual assault. And so while some victims do use that recourse, and that is something that is completely available, and if that is part of their process, that's great. But this idea that we're going to quote unquote end rape when the same type of, frankly, rape culture and the same type of misogynistic culture that informed this abortion law to begin with is also, those beliefs are held by the governor himself and this Texas state legislature. Frankly, there are many people in power, as we know from the Me Too movement, that commit sexual assault, that help their friends cover up these crimes. And some of them even serve in the same state legislatures that are voting on these just these anti-choice bills. It's awful. And he speaks from such a place of deep ignorance and it's not just ignorance, it's ignorance that is hurting people across this country.
This time last year, my grandmother, who was a former teacher at the Rutherford County School System, died of COVID because someone wasn't wearing a mask. This is a very I couldn't understand why people would react like that to a statement that I made that's so personal, Last year, we had masks at school, and we know that they worked because we could stay in school all year. This year, we've already had to shut down because of a lack of staff in the school, and we're only a month into it. This is going to continue if we don't have a mask mandate. Additionally, I'm worried about my family. If I get COVID, I'm going to bring it to my family, and I talk to my grandparents a lot. They're higher risk than me, so I don't want to give them COVID. This time last year, my grandmother, who was a former teacher at the Rutherford County School System, died of COVID because someone wasn't wearing a mask. This is a very
Hey guys, we're here to act professional. Please, go ahead.
Thank you. This is an avoidable issue, and by not wearing masks in schools, it's irresponsible. We're killing people. This is not something that we should be doing for the education of our students.
Frankly, I'm starting to question my trust in you guys to make educational decisions for my children.
My ancestor was George Reed, who signed the Declaration of Independence. And so I guess you could say that coming against tyranny is in my blood.
Since we disagree so much, shouldn't we err on the side of freedom?
If you today make that choice for me, I will make sure that I send you paperwork and you will make the choice to pay me child support.
20% of students were quarantined just last week alone, and because Tennessee has no distance learning, they were likely receiving no real-time instruction. And so sometimes they're hesitant to report symptoms or contacts outside of school for fear of falling behind in class. And that's something no student should have to do.
It's really weird because you'll walk into a class some days and half the kids will be gone from contact tracing because there's so many kids that are getting COVID and so many kids that sit around them that it's spreading so quick. I just hope that they see that they've given me this chance now to speak in front of the entire nation and tell about how I believe masks are something that is really essential for schools to stay open. And I hope that they see that this is really just benefiting me and people that believe in masks all across the country.
Not correct.
The decisions that President Biden has made, or making, were disastrous.
I realize it's early, but we can see the theme for the evening. And the idea that the only thing that went wrong in Afghanistan is what President Biden has done in the last 6 or 7 months is not correct.
My concerns have now grown into complete dismay towards the abject failure of this administration to ensure a controlled withdrawal and continued security mission within the region.
The decisions that President Biden has made, or making, were disastrous. I fear America is less safe because of them.
We were presented with a very difficult situation. When President Biden came into the office, the Taliban were rolling across Afghanistan, picking up even more towns on a day-in and day-out basis. How long could the Afghan government stay? So I hope as the evening progresses here, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, it's 10:45 in the morning, that we have a more honest discussion about what was going on. And I hope that we'll also discuss that if we didn't want this to happen, the only real choice was to escalate. It was to send in more troops. It would have been irresponsible, and I had these conversations with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and others. The notion that we could have just left 2,500 troops there after the peace agreement negotiated by Donald Trump ended on May 1st, and that those 2,500 troops could fight off the Taliban who were rolling across the country is absurd. We would have had to put more troops in there and more Americans would have had to die. Now, maybe that's the choice we should have made, okay? And we can have that discussion and we can have an honest discussion of the trade-offs, the pros and the cons, and argue for that, defend that. But the idea that there was some option where we could have just stayed in a perfectly peaceful environment with no risk, I hope this debate gets a little bit better than that as we move forward and honestly looks at what the choices were there. And then, as I said originally, that we have a discussion about 20 years worth of policies that got us to this place. If we just look at the last couple of months and the difficult decisions that were made, we will be failing in our mission to better understand how we can prevent this in the future. So we will continue to have this discussion throughout the night, throughout the day, and night. But I do feel like we need to have a more balanced discussion on that. Is there further discussion on the subcommittee, Mark? And the only thing I would add to that is, if we're going to really honestly look at Afghanistan, we need to look at all 20 years. There was a lot that went into that, and I think simply focusing on the last 4 months would do an incredible disservice to the men and women who have served there, and that's what I would ask this committee to do, is better understand everything that happened over the course of 20 years.
Oh, boy. 90% of our cases of people that are hospitalized are unvaccinated. For God's sakes a living, how difficult is this to understand? Why in the world do we have to come up with these crazy ideas, and they're crazy ideas, that the vaccine's got something in it and it's tracing people wherever they go? And the same very people that are saying that are carrying their cell phones around. I mean, come on. But, oh boy, I don't know when in the world we're going to just completely everyone realize, rights or no rights or whatever it may be, absolutely, that you need to really get vaccinated. You need to give to your neighbors, and you need to absolutely extend that love. And I know you're loving, caring, great people. I get that. I know that. But we've got to some way realize that we've got to get vaccinated for all, not just for you, but for everybody. You can't grow antlers from it, and you can't catch COVID from it. So take your vaccine, please, please take your vaccine. This is real. When we read these people that have died, don't be one of them. Quit being afraid. Absolutely know how much you'll be helping yourself, your family, and lots of others to just be vaccinated. I really don't get it. We all know that these vaccines will save your life. We all know that they're incredibly safe. We're having a drawing today, and there's a lot of folks that are going to win a lot of stuff. Now, just think about it. That drawing, you got vaccinated, which you should do, and then that drawing got you the chance to win incredible prizes, did it not? That's all there is to it. A man is sitting right there every day telling you got to go get vaccinated. And if I can't imagine just turn my back on it and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Well, when you turn your back and say, nope, I'm not doing that, all you're doing is entering the death drawing. There's no sense in the world to not getting vaccinated. It's a tremendous risk. A tremendous risk. You need to really think about that. If you haven't and you don't have a vaccine shot yet, please go get your vaccine. Please go get your vaccine. But as we speak to you and we plead with you to go get vaccinated, we could be sitting here and say, okay. Well, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it. Don't call me. Don't call me when the wheels fly off. You got to get vaccinated. It's time to be on your toes, West Virginia. It's time absolutely to be vaccinated. We have got to get vaccinated. We have got to get vaccinated right now, and I'll get into it in just one second. But oh boy. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say it, but there is totally nothing in your life as important right now as getting vaccinated. Nothing. And without any question, you need to to run to the fire and get yourself vaccinated if you're not vaccinated. I mean, this situation is really serious. We're hanging on, but it is really tough.